Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Lana and today I will tell you about all the books that I added to my TBR shelf on Goodreads in the month of March. I have 5 or 6 books to talk about, so hopefully this won't be too long of a video. First book that I want to talk about is The Miracles of the Nemia General Store by Kigo Higashino. This is a fiction, fantasy, mystery, magical realism book by a Japanese author, and I will be reading this in April as a buddy read with my friend Vanya. We were looking for things to read together and we ended up picking it because it just sounds very interesting. And since I will be reading it in English, I will mention the translator Sam Bett for the English edition. And this is when 3 delinquents hole up in an abandoned general store after their most recent robbery. To their great surprise, a letter drops through the mail slot in the store's shutter. This seemingly simple request for advice sets the trio on a journey of discovery as, over the course of a single night, they step into the role of the kind-hearted former shopkeeper who devoted his waning years to offering thoughtful counsel to his correspondents. Through the lens of time, they share insight with those seeking guidance, and by morning, none of their lives will ever be the same. The thing that was stopping me a little bit from picking this book was the fact that apparently it's very philosophical, but I have to say the reviews absolutely do not talk of it as a very slow-paced book at all. And I actually really liked the way people were talking about it, and it has great ratings, a great rating on Goodreads. And as I mentioned, I will be reading this in April, so I'm excited about this. Next book is Black Drop by Leonora Natras. This is a historical fiction mystery book. Apparently this is a political thriller. The blurb says July 1794 and the streets of London are filled with rumors of revolution. Political radical Thomas Hardy is to go on trial for treason. The war against the French is not going in Britain's favor, and the negotiations with the independent American colonies are on knife edge. Lawrence Jago, clerk to the Foreign Office, is ever more reliant on the black drop to ease his nightmares. A highly sensitive letter has been leaked to the press, which may lead to the destruction of the British Army, and Lawrence is a suspect. Then he discovers the body of a fellow clerk, supposedly a suicide. After years of hiding his own secrets from his powerful employers, and at a time when even the slightest hint of treason can lead to the gallows, how can Lawrence find the true culprit without incriminating himself? I'm curious about this one. I like a historical fiction. I like even more a mystery thriller, so combining the two of them is something I really enjoy. So hopefully this is as good as it's promising to be. Oh, next is a book I am very excited about. It's called The Violin Conspiracy. It's a mystery fiction, mystery thriller, adult, contemporary book by Brendan Slocum. It's a mystery about a black classical musician whose family heirloom violin is stolen on the eve of the prestigious classical music competition in the world. So it's a mystery thriller that involves music and violins. Oh, there's just something about violins that is so mysterious. I love it. And Brendan Slocum, the author, holds a degree in music education from University of North Carolina, and for more than 20 years has been a public and private school music educator and has performed with orchestras throughout Northern Virginia, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. So like you know that what he's writing, like he knows what he's talking about when it comes to music, which is even more exciting. So the blurb is, Ray McMillan loves playing the violin more than anything, and nothing will stop him from pursuing his dream of becoming a professional musician. Not his mother, who thinks he should get a real job, not the fact that he can't afford a high caliber violin, not the racism inherent in the classical music world. And when he makes the startling discovery that his great-grandfather's fiddle is actually a priceless Stradivarius, his star begins to rise. Then, with the International Tchaikovsky Competition, the Olympics of classical music, fast approaching, his prized family heirloom is stolen. Ray is determined to get it back. But now his family and the descendants of the man who once enslaved Ray's great-grandfather are each claiming that the violin belongs to them. How cool is this? This came out 1st of February this year, 2022. And so far the ratings are 4.23, very high, with the 4,000 people rating it. So I predict this will be a great read. Next one is a nonfiction, The Bilingual Brain, and what it tells us about science of language. And this is by Albert Costa, nonfiction science, linguistics, neuroscience, psychology, education. So if you've been here for a while, you know I speak a bunch of languages. I was born in Rome. I spent my first 4 years there, and though in my family we speak Russian, I was surrounded by the Italian language, and everyone in my family is fluent in Italian. So even though my parents spoke Russian, in the home we did watch Italian television, we did talk to Italian was a big part of our lives. So I always cautiously considered myself a bilingual person, cautiously because I'm not sure if it counts if it's not inside my family, but if I'm surrounded by the language, a different language than the ones that I speak in my family, I don't know. I worked a lot with languages in my life. When I was 11, I went to a French school not knowing French, so I had to very fast learn it to a level that I can basically study all middle school classes in French, including biology and math and all of those. I learned English from zero. In my university, languages were a big part of the curriculum, and I had Italian as my first and English as my second, and we did a lot of translations, economic translations, commercial correspondence, stuff like that. Then I worked as a translator. Then later I did have to work in Italy, and I lived in the US working with English. And now, as like a hobby, I'm learning Greek and Chinese. So, languages are a big part of my life, and everyone in my family speaks at least 3-4 languages fluently. And I have noticed that the way I process words and imagery is different from most people, and it was pretty normal growing up including several words from different languages in one sentence, because when it comes to you, it comes to you. And talking to people who primarily spoke one language throughout their life, it's very interesting seeing the differences in how we again process the world through language. All of this to say, I'm very interested in reading about what actually happens in the brain when you have to juggle several languages, because that's something I've been dealing with a lot. And I know for some people it sounds very cool and everything, but you know what happens? I don't sound great in any of the languages. In my job where I have to speak a lot, I speak in Russian, and I struggle so much. It's so hard coming up with words and sentences and remembering what phrases, like fixed phrases, actually belong in the language that I'm speaking. Sometimes I, speak a sentence and I can see that from the face of the person who I'm talking to that it made no sense, and I realized that, oh, I took an English phrase and I said it in Russian, but it actually does not work in Russian at all. Stuff like that happens all the time, and I just want some actual scientific knowledge about this to make me feel better. So the blurb says, in the first study of its kind, leading expert Albert Costa shares 20 years of experience to explore the science of language. Looking at studies and examples from Canada to France to South Korea, the bilingual brain investigates the significant a significant impact of bilingualism on daily life from infancy to old age, drawing on cutting-edge neurolinguistic research from his own laboratory in Barcelona, as well from centers across the world, and his own bilingual family. Costa offers an examination of the intricacies and impact of an extraordinary skill. And it was published in 2020. Excited about this! The last book is The Plotters by Unso Kim, and it says fiction, thriller, mystery, crime, Asia noir. This was published in 2018, a fantastical crime novel set in an alternate Seoul where assassination guilds compete for market dominance. Ri-seng is an assassin, and behind every assassination there is an anonymous mastermind, a plotter, working in the shadows. But when Ri-seng steps out of line on a job, he risks his future. And when he uncovers an extraordinary plot being cooked up by an eccentric trio of young women, a convenience store clerk, her wheelchair-bound sister, and a cross-eyed obsessive knitter, he will have to decide whether he will be used as a pawn or if he can take control of the game. Unso Kim has written that rarest of novels, a cracking commercial crime novel that sings with the soul, wit, and lyricism of real literary craft. Interesting sentence. The Plotters is page-turning, hilarious, soul-searching, and deeply entertaining. I feel like I don't really need to say anything else. Oh, the translator for the English version is Sora Kim Russell. It sounds intriguing. It sounds like nothing I've ever heard of before. I'm gonna keep it in my want to read, and if I come upon it, I will see if I'm in the mood for it. For now, this is it. These are all the books that I added to my want to read shelf on my Goodreads this month. This absolutely does not guarantee that I will actually be reading these books at any point in my life, but these are books that caught my attention and that I don't want to lose. And yeah, I hope you found something here that you're interested in, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye.